We need to be ready to endure those life changes. But the best way we can endure those life changes is to having put Jesus up front in our life.
When we walk through difficult things, having Jesus as the primary in our life, it doesn't take away those bad things, but it changes our perspective on them, right? It lets us navigate them a little bit better. Hey, well, welcome back, New Hope family. We are glad that you have been tuning in to hang out with us at the table. I get a pleasure today to have Wayne, who actually preached this Sunday. And I get a different seat today because normally I'm the one who preached and I'm asking other people questions, but you preach and now I get to ask you questions about the sermon. And so I appreciate you doing that yesterday. I noticed we had game stuff all over the table, and I guess we'll get to that in a little bit. But my first question is maybe for people who don't know exactly who you are, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe in just, just a few, who are you? What do you do here? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, Pastor Brad. Yeah. And thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure working with you all this time. And now we get to really have this kind of conversation with our New Hope family
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Hey, I am the Discipleship Pastor. I'm also connected to missions here, both local and foreign. With discipleship, that includes the men's ministry, the women's ministry. It includes what we're developing as a family ministry model. And then, of course, involves discipleship pathways for new members and new attendees. And then it also involves small groups, our small group leaders and small group members, as well as small group coaches.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah. So I know that I know more about you than maybe others do, but you grew up in New York, right? So
Yes.
are you
Yeah.
you're a New Yorker? So you
Yes.
don't have that New Yorker accent. What happened to it?
Well, you know what, Brad? I lived in Pennsylvania for quite a while, in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So used guys
Yeah.
is
So
one of the
that's what I was
things.
wondering. Where's the I'm walking
Yes.
here,
I'm
the
walking here.
yeah.
Well, you know what? It comes out when I'll just tell a quick story. It comes out when I say certain words because in New York, we pronounce anything that ends with the letter R as if it's a ah at the end. So, for instance, I was at a church in North Carolina serving as their care pastor, and one of the ladies came up to me and she said, "Hey, Pastor Wayne, how are you?" And somebody else came up to me and just said, "Hey, Wayne." And she said, "No, no, it's not Wayne, it's Pastor Wayne." So that's that New York kind of accent, the where there should be an R.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you miss New York at all?
a little bit. But I tell you what, I don't miss the hustle and bustle of it.
Yeah.
There's so many people. Like when I went to go visit New York City after the World Trade Center was destroyed. Uh, And it was so crowded. I mean, not just at night. We're talking about, uh, 24/7. There's people there 24/7, so you never have that alone time.
Right.
You're always in the midst of a crowd.
Yeah.
So I don't miss that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed visiting New York, but I don't think I'd ever want to live there.
Yeah,
I
not
like
at
I
this
like
point.
the slow pace here in
Yes.
good old Tennessee, as we say, right?
Yeah, Tennessee.
When you gotta pick up that accent soon. So
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I already kinda picked it up.
good, good. So w- kind of walk us through the process yesterday for you because we're talking about the table, right?
Right.
And I know you had the game show stuff and the games, and just kind of give us kind of an insight into what really stood out for you as you were walking through this passage that you had in Luke. So
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I think what really stood out for me was the fact that Jesus told us the price of following him up front, what he expected us to pay.
right,
And that kind of went through my mind and I thought about, okay, so the price we have to pay. And then for some reason the price is right came to mind.
right,
Because I grew up watching that, especially with my grandma.
yeah,
Yeah, my grandmother was a huge fan of those kind of game shows. And so Bob Barker and Drew Carey immediately came to mind.
right,
And the sequence of how they would go about getting to the end result of the showcase. And I thought about the fact that, you know, there you have to guess the game. You have to guess the price,
right,
whereas Jesus tells us it.
mm,
And so that kind of told me up front, hey, why not bring that that analogy in and bring that contrast into it.
Right.
So that was part of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was so the what was the parable part of it?
The parable part was the tower. Because even though Jesus gives us a bunch of parables along the way in that chapter,
Yeah.
the tower really stuck out to me because we know that the tower, on one hand, was for fortification, so it was to protect your household and your family, but at the same time, it was so that you could see not only the enemy, but if you were a farmer, you could see any ravenous animals that might come to attack either your crops or your sheep or
Right.
whatever you had. And so it became important to recognize how that tower and its foundation was necessary for the farmer and for the rancher, and even for those, especially in the military, and how Jesus uses that as the idea of fortifying our faith.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and when you're looking through it, what was there how
Mhm.
do I ask this question?
Mhm.
What was it that what was it that struck you personally? Was there
Oh,
something that when you were reading it, you were like, I needed to hear this personally?
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. When he says, anyone who doesn't hate father or mother or sister or brother or even their own life
Yeah.
is not worthy of me, is not worthy to be my disciple or
Right. Which
cannot.
is really kind of
Yeah.
for us as for us as like Westerners, right?
Yes,
That's a harsh concept, right? Like it
it is.
sounds out of character for Jesus, but I know you kind of explained that, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, but I will admit I struggled with it because as you were saying about what was it that was personal for me. For me, it was my relationship with my mom. My mom died when I was 11. She died from complications from type 1 diabetes. And I had treasured her, even though I was a believer at a very young age. I didn't get the concept of that my mom's going to leave me. I didn't think about that
Mm.
when I was 11, and then I knew she was sick and in the hospital, and I ended up living with my grandparents. And then the phone call came, February 11th, 1976. I'll never forget that day. And my grandma came in my bedroom where I was staying, and she said, "Your mom just passed."
Wow.
And that struck me. So when I saw what Jesus was saying there in those verses about you can't love your father or your mother or your sisters or brothers any more than you love me, I thought about my own personal loss. I didn't get to go into that yesterday. I wish I had a little more time to go into that, but that's really how that passage affected me because I realized I did lose my mom.
Yeah.
You know, she was taken away from me, not so much by God, but by life circumstances and health.
Right.
So with that, I realized either I'm going to leave my mom or my mom's going to leave me. And that's when I looked at how this passage, when Jesus talks about that, really refers to the idea that you're going to lose either the ones you love or the ones you love are going to lose you. The one you never lose is Jesus.
Right.
He's always there.
So
So,
so what were you just kind of to put a kind of a bow on that.
mhm.
So what does that mean for us? Like so what is Jesus telling us there? Like what's the advantage of loving him beyond loving them?
I think that we should be able to love our family and friends and all enough to share him with them
Right.
because the circumstances in life are going to change our lives. Like my mom's death changed my life.
Yeah.
And so that we need to be ready to endure those life changes. But the best way we can endure those life changes is to having put Jesus up front in our lives.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that we don't consider about him is that, and this comes from when we talk about spiritual warfare, when we talk about the shield of faith, Jesus becomes our shield from some of the hurts we endure in life. And so when we put him first, we're really also using him as a shield to protect us from some of the hurts that we might experience when we do lose someone or
Mhm.
something in life. He fills that spot.
Right.
And I think that's what's important for us as believers to realize is the significance of how he fills that spot in our lives
Yeah.
in a way that we could never imagine on our own without him.
Right, it's like the scripture where it tells us, "Do not grieve the lost like those who do not believe," right?
Yes.
So I think
Yeah.
there's a difference there when we walk through difficult things, having Jesus as the primary in our life. It doesn't take away those bad things, but it changes our perspective on them, right? It lets us navigate them a little bit better. What when you were when you were a kid, what games did you play? Because I know you had a bunch of games on the table. What games did you
Yeah.
play?
Yeah. Monopoly was a big one because our family, it was a family type game where you got to play and compete
Yeah.
in a friendly competition, and
Okay.
sometimes some people took it too
Yeah, I was gonna
seriously.
say Monopoly wasn't always friendly at our house. Yeah.
No, no,
No.
not it was not very friendly at our
Yeah.
house
All
either,
right.
but it was a game that we could
Yeah.
all rally
You know, you
around.
can play Monopoly with debit cards now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have not seen that. I
Yes.
have not seen
Yeah,
that.
you have a little
Okay.
debit card, you swipe your card. Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah, so
yeah,
instead of the cash that
yes.
people were, like, always shoving, stealing cash and putting it under the board,
Oh,
now it's
yeah.
got a debit card, yeah.
Oh, wow,
So did you
okay.
play anything else? I know we have Jenga here.
Yes.
Did you ever play Jenga?
My cousins did. I
Yeah,
did not. I used to kinda watch them play.
yeah.
Now, I will tell you the big game where I came from in New York, there's my part of my accent, New York,
There you go.
was Uno,
Uno.
the card game.
Yeah,
Yes, that was big for family reunions,
yeah,
picnics, outings. Yeah, we were gonna be outside somewhere. For some reason, people love playing it in New York. They love playing it outside, like in parks,
yeah.
rather than inside.
It's funny. We always
Yeah.
played, for our family stuff, we either played a game called Rook or we played
Yes,
dominoes.
I remember Rook.
Yeah, we played
Yes.
dominoes a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never was patient enough for those games.
This was I. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I'm a hit it and quit it kind of guy. I like,
Let's move on. Something more active. Yeah.
yeah.
So, when we're talking about like that, like with games and tables, and like, I think that one of my favorite things now to do with my family is we play games.
Mhm.
And honestly, it's not about the games; it's about the conversations
Yeah.
and just being around my family. So, like, if you were talking to the audience based on what you talked about yesterday,
Mhm.
and they were gathering as a family around to play a board game, what do you think some important things for parents to think through as they're interacting with their kids? Like how do you pass that, like you need Jesus first. How do you pass that on to people? How do you explain
Mhm.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question, Brad. It kind of reminds me of a game we did with our 60 plus ministry folks. We did Bible trivia. And it was fun seeing how we had 2 teams. It was fun seeing the friendly competition, and at the same time, they were kind of feeding one another spiritually from that. So I would think a game like Bible trivia
Hmm.
for families, yeah,
Yeah.
with children, yeah. Um, Maybe look at a Bible trivia game. There are some already there for children and for
Sure.
families.
Yeah.
I look at one that focuses on Bible stories so that children can hear those stories. One of the most important passages I remember from particularly the books of Moses is when God says, uh, make sure you share this information that I'm giving you with your children
Right.
and your children's children. So
Right.
from generation to generation. And I thought about how significant that was for me when I read that to pass it on to my children as well as my grandchildren now.
Yeah. It says when as you walk, as you lay down, when you get up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. And it becomes powerful. And so I think one of those games for Bible trivia can talk about some of those stories. Like just a quick example, my grandchildren, Kevin and Kennedy, when they were little, I got them a Bible storybook, a children's Bible storybook.
Yeah.
And so I'd sit them on my knee and I would read them the stories. And the one they loved the most was Joseph and the coat of many
Okay.
colors.
Yeah.
They loved that story, and I think when parents take a Bible trivia game and then take your Bible and have it there with you so that when you ask your children these questions, you can go to the scripture and show them, hey, here's the story. But here's the most important part, like you were asking about, Brad, is when you tell that story related to your own life.
Mm.
What will, like share with your children, hey, you know what? David had to slay Goliath. And I remember there was a giant in my life that I had to deal with. And so find a story that correlates with that.
Right, you're taking the biblical narrative and you're applying it to
Yeah.
and letting them see how not only is it a story about someone, the character in the Bible, but how it applies to our lives too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have, 2 little grandkids?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, they're not little anymore. Gosh, they're 17. They're
17.
twins.
Oh, they're
Yeah, they're twins.
twins.
Yeah, boy and girl. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So do they will they still sit on your lap and read books with you?
No,
No, probably not. No.
not my grandson.
He's like a big guy, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's
Yeah.
he's a quarterback.
Yeah, you told me he was a pretty big guy, so
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Kevin's a big guy. Now
yeah.
he can't sit. Now my granddaughter Kennedy, she probably still could.
Yeah.
She likes to kind of cuddle under me whenever we have them over because it's been a while
Yeah.
because they're in Delaware.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
What, was there anything like yesterday when you were preaching that you were like, "Ah, I wish I had said this."
Mhm.
Was there anything?
Yeah, yeah. There were a couple of things. One thing just because I didn't have or time I felt
Right.
like to really unpack it, but I wanted to share with people that hey, it's okay to be attached to things in this life. Jesus is not saying we can't be attached to things. We just want to make sure that those things don't get in the way of us seeing Jesus.
Right.
And one of the other things I wanted to unpack if I had a little more time was just to say, hey, kind of gauge where you are right now with that. Because yes, Jesus does say some difficult things in those verses.
Yeah.
But instead of us trying to bite the whole thing at once and try to swallow the whole thing whole,
Right.
take little nibbles
Mm.
of what he's saying. So don't try to do it all at once. Don't say, okay, I gotta let my children go all at once, or
Mhm.
hey, I gotta let this job go all at once.
Yeah.
No, take the time to allow it to be a process
Like,
because it is.
how do you eat an elephant? Like, one
Yes,
bite at a time?
one bite at a time.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, so, like, for you, I know, you have an opportunity to work with the men's ministry and, the missions and stuff like that. What's something that, maybe the people watching, how could they pray specifically for what's going on in the men's, women's small group ministry? Is there something that they could be aware of that would help kind of our church as we walk through that? Because I know well, how many 5, 6 months now?
Yeah. About 6 months.
6 months, yeah. So
6
what's
months since
something
I've
that,
been here.
we could be actively praying about so that, as you kind of put your fingerprints on this ministry and walk
Sure.
towards it, what's something we could be praying for?
Um, Actually, I would say one of the most important things, for lack of a better term, is um, stay the way we are, to continue to be the way we are, and let us not change.
Okay.
And here's what I mean by that. Dorothy and I, from the days that we first visited this church to the time that I've been on staff all the way up to now, people here have been so welcoming and loving.
That's great.
I mean, yeah, people who didn't even know who we were,
Yeah.
like one of the small group coaches. I won't mention his name because he'll probably feel embarrassed. But he came up to me and just shook my hand, and he didn't know who I was. And he found out who I was a month or two later. He was like, "Oh, you're the new discipleship pastor," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I didn't know who you were, and I said, "No," and I'm glad you didn't because you made me feel so welcome with that handshake. You treated me as if you did already know me. And I think for our church, one of the things I love so much about this church, there are a number of things, but the fact that we are so welcoming, and I want that to always be a part of our DNA, whether it's in men's groups, whether it's in women's groups, whether it's in, you know, small groups, 60 plus ministry, missions, anything that we do here is always connected to discipleship, but discipleship is always connected to having a relationship with folks.
Yeah.
And I think if anything, if there was any one thing I would ask people to pray for is pray that we continue to be
Yeah.
that we don't change despite the circumstances around us that may always change, that we don't change. You
It's
know?
really easy to get lost in that, right? To get
Oh,
focused on what's going on with you and forget how impactful it is. And I think sometimes more recent visitors to the church have a better understanding of how important that is because they've
mhm.
experienced it. And I think some of us that have been going here so long, we forget how awesome it is to have someone just say hello to you and welcome you and say you're glad you're here. And like we had like 9 or 10 visitors just this last Sunday,
Wow, wow.
and so I
Yeah,
think how important it is for them to walk in and be seen, right?
yeah,
To be
yeah.
seen, to be somebody who, that that is recognized as new, but not
Mhm.
in an awkward way, but in a way like a, "Hey, we're glad you're here." So,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, we're so glad to have you on staff, and I know we'll have more conversations, and we hope to get you back up there in the pulpit soon. But anything happening in your ministry that you want to kind of plug or anything? Is there anything going on?
Oh, there's always a lot going
Yeah,
on. Andrew Meyer and I always have a lot on our
you guys
plate.
do. You guys have a lot going on. So,
Yes,
what's the next
yes.
event coming up?
The next event would be this coming Sunday, the
Okay.
8th, is the 60 plus luncheon.
Okay.
So just want to remind folks that, hey, to sign up, there is in the newsletter that was just sent out on this past Saturday, there's a link they can follow to sign up for that luncheon. It's
Okay.
an email address.
What are they having?
Oh my goodness. I guess I can tell it now.
Okay. You don't have to.
Oh, no,
If
no,
it's a
no.
secret. Yeah.
No, no, it's not a secret. It's just that it'll entice more people to sign up.
Yeah. What is it?
It's gonna be, meatloaf, pot roast, and baked chicken,
Oh.
and then we're gonna have some sides. I think mac and cheese is gonna be one of the major sides, um, corn, and I think they're gonna do mashed potatoes
Well, I
as
am not
well.
60 plus, but I feel like my beard kind of makes me look 60 plus.
Nah,
So
it doesn't, but you are always welcome.
awesome. Yes. Good. Good. I'm gonna get my 60 plus card and come in there. So
I hear you. I'll make a
no.
fake ID for you.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. 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 Well, I appreciate you coming and hanging out with us and talking. And
Absolutely.
I know that the one of the as people who preach, one of our favorite things that you could do is to go back and read the text over again and really kind of think through it. And we're always open for questions, right? Like
Yes,
we never
absolutely.
assume that, like, we have ultimate authority at all. We're just sharing what God puts on our hearts and then trying to convey that to us. So if you ever have any questions about what was on the sermon, or if you want to talk more, I know that Wayne and I both we're always open for lunch, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes,
You can always
absolutely.
we could take you to lunch, you can take us to lunch, something like
Yeah.
that. So but anyways, we're anything else you want to share before we get out of here?
The only other thing I probably would share is that, I can't tell you what a joy it's been, not only serving in this church, but being a part of this church. Just real quick, for Dorothy and I, this is such a wonderful experience because the last church experience we had, there was some church hurt. They can go well at all the church, and even the folks in that church. Some of them were great, but the leadership of that church, unlike here, were focused on being served.
Mm,
And here, we're all about serving. And I love that, not just from a leadership standpoint, from a congregational standpoint. We are true servants at heart. And that's caused Dorothy to even go and be a server. You'll see her greeting on
yeah,
Sunday
yeah, she's
mornings.
usually over here at this door over
Yes,
here. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because after the church hurt we experienced, for us to be able to rebound, that shows that the Spirit of God is working in this place.
I agree. I think he is
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you, Wayne.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Hey, like always, comment, let us know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching this, and we can't wait to see you Sunday. So have a good week.